Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, and welcome to Inspired. I'm Helen Mac, and I'm going to be taking you through how to use the power of optimism in your daily life. Just to introduce myself a little bit, I have been passionate about this topic for many, many years, and for several decades I've been working with people showing them how to shift their attitudes to create a better outcome for themselves, an outcome that delivers better benefits in their lives, and that's what I'm hoping to share with you today. So let's get started. I'm going to start with something completely different than what you might have thought. I want you to think back to the first time you fell in love. That might have been when you were at primary school, it might have been at high school, and then you had that head over heels, rosy glow, everything's wonderful kind of feeling. And then something changed. The person that you thought you were head over heels in love with shifted. They were different. And you suddenly, over time, realised that maybe you didn't like them so much. In fact, eventually, in some cases, you moved to absolutely hating them. Now, the interesting thing about this is the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. And it's not until you move to this position of being indifferent that you can finally move on with your life and perhaps fall in love with the person that you're meant to be with. Now, for some of you, you might be lucky enough that your first love has been your forever love, and that's magical. But for most of us, we had to have a few practice runs. So why am I saying all this to you? Well, I believe that we have the same problem with positive attitude. We've all been taught that positive thinking fixes everything, and all we need to do is change our attitude to the positive, and everything will be fine. I think we've been sold the wrong prescription for that. I believe that what we need to think about is not the positivity imperative, we need to think about it in a slightly different way. I'm guessing that you can work out what that is from my perspective. So the positivity imperative sounds like this. Everyone's running around saying, you've got to be positive all the time. And if you have a bad day or a bad week or heaven forbid a bad month, it's like the end of the world. People get all upset and, you've got to think positively. And the challenge of that is we all have bad days. We all have days where things just don't work as well as they should. What we need to do when we're having, what we all do is have bad days, what we need to do is take a different response. So I want to show you what the traditional spectrum was. This is what we've all been taught at school and at the moment on radio and TV, and everybody's always talking about the positivity imperative. I think it's actually like a virus. I think it's contagious and it's doing us damage. But we all have bad days. I'm a professional optimist. Imagine what it's like when I have a bad day. People really worry when I have a bad day. But I'm going to show you how you can switch things around. You can change your attitude and change your results. We all have bad days. We all have days where we feel a little bit like this funny little fella, where you just think, I don't even know how I'm going to cope with this. How am I going to cope? Here's the traditional spectrum. The traditional attitude is we have a bad day and everyone wants you to stay calm. Don't worry, don't panic, take it easy. And then you're supposed to think positive. Now, I don't know about you, but the guy who's thinking positive in this little picture, he's not going to get wet no matter how much he thinks about being positive. The challenge of positive thinking and the whole positive thinking approach is that I actually have some bad news for you. No matter how much you sit in the chair at your house, visualizing the red Ferrari coming down the driveway, thinking positively about that outcome, it's never going to happen. Positive thinking doesn't work. Not because it's not a great way to start, but it is missing a key piece to the puzzle. It's missing the action imperative. It's missing optimism. The power opposite of negative is not positive. The power opposite of negative is optimism, an optimistic approach. So the spectrum then looks like this. We all have bad days. I have bad days. Or everyone that I meet has a day where you just think, I can't do this anymore. I need a break. The key is not to stay calm. The key is to start analysing. So the midsection is a realistic approach. You need to do a bit of an assessment. Where am I? What resources do I have? Which way do I want to go? It's a little bit like when you're taking a trip. There are a couple of things that are really important when you're going on a journey to find out, to make sure that you're going to end up where you want to go. You need to look at the map and work out where you are. Then you need to look at where you're going to go. And you need to think about what's the best direction, what's the best way for me to travel, what resources do I have, and perhaps also, who am I travelling with? So when you're having a bad day, if you have that kind of approach, that's the first step. Not calm and neutral, but calmly analysing. Then you need to look at the best possible outcome, and that's where the optimistic approach kicks in. So to develop optimism means that we are going to have an attitude that allows us to have what I call the achievement mindset. It switches on your mind, switches on your brain, and some small changes can make a really big difference in the way you operate in the world. Now, for me, the totem, if you like, the symbol of optimism is the sunflower. And there's 3 reasons for that. There's actually a bonus reason. I love orange, and the middle of the sunflower, of some sunflowers, is a beautiful orange colour. But the main reasons why optimism and sunflowers go together so beautifully is that sunflowers move to face the sun. I remember years ago travelling in Italy, and we went to visit some relatives, and on the way out there, all the sunflowers were facing us. On the way home in the afternoon, they were all turning away, perhaps in disgust that we were leaving. But sunflowers look for the sun. Optimists do too. Sunflowers have a beautiful patterning in the middle of the seeds. The pattern is actually a Fibonacci curve. So with every additional layer, you get double the outcome. Optimists get more outcomes from everything that they do. And the third reason why the sunflower is the totem is because sunflowers, like good wine and good people, are more valuable as they age. Maybe that works for some of you out there. So the sunflower is the symbol of the optimistic mindset, and I want to show you how you can develop that mindset to get more out of your life every day. But first, let's ask the question. So other than it sounds like a good idea, what's the research tell us? And I love the fact that when you look for the outcomes of an optimistic life, you really do find a bountiful harvest. There's all kinds of benefits that all sorts of studies from Harvard and from Forbes business magazine, from everyone who has ever done a survey, Gallup and etc., find some really great outcomes from making this change of the way you do things. Optimists live longer lives and happier lives. They live longer lives partially because they make better choices about their health, about their lifestyles, and they live happier lives because optimism helps boost your mood along the way. They also have less illness. The mental approach of optimism, having an optimistic mindset, allows you to make choices that help you not get sick, and also help you, if you do get sick, to get well faster and easier. And in fact, one study, they went through 8 different measures of physical and mental function and health, and all of them showed better outcomes for optimists. I reckon that all of those things are a good enough reason for making this a part of the way that you approach your life. There's also some benefits from a business perspective. So there are all kinds of ways in which we can benefit our businesses if we take an optimistic viewpoint. And as an example, if you have anyone in your business, or if you do it yourself, if you're in sales, optimists outsell pessimists by 30%. Interestingly, in real estate, it's 300%. So optimistic real estate agents sell lots more than pessimistic real estate agents. I don't know, I think I'd much rather buy a house from an optimist than a pessimist telling me all the bad things about the house. Interestingly, it also applies in customer service. The top performing customer service reps are 50% more likely to be optimistic. So if you're in a business where you're looking for salespeople, customer service reps, or almost everything except risk management, insurance, and surgeons all need to be slightly less optimistic. But in any other business, your optimists will give you a better result in your business. So let's have a look at how we can create an optimal performance for ourselves on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. What are the things that we need to do if we're wanting to take on this optimistic mindset? I believe that what we need to do is activate what I call the O zone. optimism zone, that uplifting space that helps us travel forward and get the outcomes that we need. And there are 3 things that we need to do that. These 3 things then come together to deliver the best possible outcome. And the first is attitude awareness. So attitude awareness is being aware of how your attitude is every day when you turn up to do whatever it is that you do. That's both at work, at play, at home, in all parts of your life. And you've probably heard the phrase, attitude is everything. I actually don't believe that's true. I think that awareness of your attitude and knowing, do you have an attitude that's contagious and is it worth catching? And what is it that you do on a daily basis to maintain that attitude? That's the key to success. So attitude isn't everything. What we need to do is recognise our peaks and troughs. So there are a large number of people who live on 2 ends of a spectrum, if you like, of energy during the day. The first group, I call them the grinners. They're the people that bounce out of bed, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, first thing in the morning, and turn up at work in the morning, bouncy and cheerful and happy. So they're the grinners. They're almost the people who, they wake up before the alarm clock. I'm married to one of those, and I've got to confess that it's not the space that I usually live in. I've learned to be a bit more of a morning person, but it's not my natural space. So if you're a grinner, that's fantastic. It means that the mornings are a great time for you. At the other end of the spectrum, if you're out there thinking, really, there are people who bounce out of bed first thing and actually operate without coffee first thing in the morning, you may live at the other end of the spectrum. I call them the groaners. Now, the groaners are the people that when the alarm goes off, they just groan quietly, or loudly sometimes, but they're just, oh, it's morning. And if it's a bad morning, one of those bad days, they're likely to pull the doom.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.